Hi, everybody. It's Derek Sloan, former member of parliament, and I have with me here today Kristal Pitter. And Kristal is an RN who was basically disciplined by the CNO, which is the College of Nurses of Ontario, for speaking her mind about COVID and other issues on social media. She went to court to try and overturn this disciplinary action, and she lost in this preliminary stage in court, and she was given a bill of $17,000 to pay. And so we're going to try and help Kristal raise some money to pay for this. Kristal, can you just tell us a little bit about what got you into trouble and a little bit about your background here with the CNO?
Sure. And thanks, Derek, so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's quite an honor and a privilege to be here with you this evening. So yes, my name is Kristal Pitter. I am a nurse with 24 years of combined nursing experience, 14 of those years in the role of a registered nurse and 10 additional years in the role of a nurse practitioner. I left the role of nurse practitioner in 2017 because I started to become quite concerned with things that would pose a conflict of interest for me, would be a violation of my conscience, just finding that overall healthcare was not really healthcare anymore. It was more sick care with a lot of conflicts of interest, a lot of prescriptions, but not really aimed towards getting at the root cause of things. Failure to holistically care for patients. So there was more of a focus on the physical symptoms and the prescription or the medications that would assist to treat that, as opposed to looking at an individual from a body, soul, spirit perspective and wanting to know what's going on with them emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. So I did find myself slowly gravitating away from the nurse practitioner role. And then a few years later, as COVID was declared, I just knew immediately that, or fairly soon anyway, after the declaration, that things were just off and they were amiss. And a lot of that came from just, gut feelings that I had prior to, as I had already spoken about. And then in addition, knowing that there were arbitration hearings that the Ontario Nurses Association was involved in 2015 and 2018 with regards to masking and influenza vaccines to prevent transmission of influenza. And essentially, in both of those cases, I believe it was Toronto and Sault Ste. Marie, but in both of those cases, there was insufficient scientific evidence to support that mask use and influenza vaccine use prevented transmission of influenza. And so as a result of that, those cases were struck down, those policies, I should say, within the health institutions, and a precedent was set. So when I started to see that, 2 years later, the same things are being pushed, the same things are being mandated, I just knew this was not what we needed. This was, there's no evidence to support any of it. So I started to post information on Facebook with regards to masking, the fact that they're ineffective, that they don't prevent transmission of viruses, and more concerning than that, they're actually harmful. Because of the suppression of oxygen, the overabundance of carbon dioxide, the more acidic pH that is caused in your body, which then in turn causes a stress response and cortisol to be released, and it suppresses your immune system. So it essentially causes you to be more at risk to the things around you than you would have been otherwise. And so I just knew that this was not a good thing, not to mention the fact that you can get all kinds of infections, lung infections, skin infections like impetigo, and oral issues. And then the silencing and the whole masking situation, and the problems that would be caused with speech, and just kids in school learning how to speak properly. So those types of posts with evidence were uploaded to my page, and others as well. And then Global News and CBC took screenshots of my Facebook posts and basically went to my employer with concerns that I should not be working because my views were in contradiction to the accepted narrative. And that resulted in investigations in the workplace and investigations by the College of Nurses of Ontario, a subsequent termination, so I lost my job, and then my license to practice nursing was also threatened.
Now, you know, it's interesting.
And that all essentially happened.
Sorry to interject here, but it's interesting because you mentioned a couple of arbitration cases here. And what I'm assuming used to be the case is that there was a vaccine mandate for the seasonal flu vaccine, along with, I'm assuming, mask mandates in hospitals or something like this. And you're saying, and before COVID, and you're saying that your perhaps it was a nurses union or something, took those mandates to court effectively and won. They had the vaccine mandate and the mask mandates knocked down. Now, this was before COVID and it was based on the flu, but that's what you just said, I believe, correct?
Yes, arbitration hearings that the Ontario Nurses Association union was involved in. And basically Bonnie Henry was one of the expert witnesses, and they didn't have sufficient evidence to prove that masking and influenza vaccinations together, or even separately, I think as well, prevented the transmission of influenza. And so those policies within those institutions, those health-based institutions, were struck down and a precedent was set.
Now, Bonnie Henry was
like 2 years later, there again.
So Bonnie Henry was an expert witness on whose side in that arbitration hearing?
I don't remember. I would have to go back and revisit that.
Okay, well, it'd be interesting if she was a witness on your side, because she's certainly singing a new tune in this day and age. So sorry, Kristal. So you made these posts, and what happened next?
Essentially, I made these posts, and as I said, you know, the media went to my employer, complained that I shouldn't be working for them because I had views that were, you know, not in alignment with the accepted narrative. And then that led to investigations, both in the workplace and by the College of Nurses of Ontario. I was subsequently terminated from my job. And then now I'm still in this situation with the college where there was a decision handed down. They felt that what I was posting, because it was not in alignment with the public health guidelines, that I was required to complete remedial education at my own expense, and also appear before the committee to be cautioned with regards to my conduct. And so I was not willing to do that because essentially I feel that's an admission of wrongdoing, and I have not done anything wrong. I have not violated any of the standards of practice. So my lawyer applied for what's called a judicial review. And that is what we now are speaking about tonight, is the decision that was made from the outcome of this judicial review.
Right, so they applied to have this decision reviewed, and the judge decided against you. And because you didn't win that particular action, you were awarded costs, or not awarded, you were given costs of roughly $17,000. Now, as I
correct. Yeah, $17,500.
As I understand it, you are in fact appealing that decision, but we're not here to talk about the specifics of that today, although it is good to know for our audience to know that you are in fact fighting back. But in the meantime, you do have a bill of $17,500 to pay, and for a nurse who unfortunately can no longer work in her field, that's a lot of money.
It is indeed. It is indeed.
So I really hope everybody watching this video today will give generously towards Kristal's cause. We'll be sure to keep you updated as things go on. Kristal, do you want to say anything else about the process here, and maybe even some of the tweets that you made, which when you told me about them, a lot of them, or some of them anyways, are not medical, they're political. And so I just wonder if you would like to comment on that and maybe speculate as to why the CNO is going after you for political statements as opposed to medical statements.
You know, your guess is as good as mine, Derek. I really don't want to put out any kind of opinion as to why they may be doing that. But healthcare is not what it was when I entered the field 24 years ago, I'll tell you. I have some serious concerns about what's going on. And when you are following all the standards of practice and you are providing care in an ethical manner, you are conducting yourself professionally, you are doing everything that you need to in terms of trying to get all of the available information out to the public so that they can make informed decisions and choose whether or not to consent to something. And you are a critical thinker. Those are all things that the college mandates, that you practice ethically, that you are a professional, that you are respectful, that you provide all of the available information, not just part of it. So to be censored or to only have part information that is permitted and others information that is prevented from being shared, that is a huge red flag. We used to be able to have respectful, robust debates about medicine, and that is no longer happening. It's just, you know, this is the way we're going to do it, and there's no questioning that is permitted, and that is not how medicine should be done. So your guess is as good as mine with regards to why there are these matters that are coming forward, but I will continue to fight, and I will not be bullied, and I will not be silenced, because the public has a right to hear all of the information. When we have surgeries, for example, and someone is contemplating whether they're going to have a surgery, they're given the benefits and the risks, and they're allowed to make a decision for themselves. Nothing should ever be mandated, and they're given all of the information that's available at that time.
Well, listen, Kristal, thank you so much for your bravery. Thank you for fighting back. And I really appreciate your story. And there's more to this story we're not going to get into tonight, but I know that you're actually taking action to push back against the CNO and the media for defaming you. And I hope that we can get together again and discuss that on a future occasion. But thank you so much for standing up and not backing down. It's very easy to, you know, back down when you have to stand up against these organizations that have unlimited resources, and you know, they're just acting in a very you know, pernicious manner, and really just trying to stick it to a lot of people like yourself. It just takes a lot of bravery to stand up and to keep fighting. So thank you for doing that. And we just ask everybody who's watching this to donate generously to Kristal's fees, their legal fees that she has to pay, $17,500. Thank you for your fight, Kristal. God bless you, and have a great evening.
Thank you very much, Derek. The only thing, if you have a few minutes, I'd like to add is that it's my duty. And if I had it to do all over again, I wouldn't change a thing, because I sleep well at night knowing that I did the right thing, and I will have to be accountable at the end of my life and give a response as to how I lived it. And I know that I did the right thing. And regardless of the cost, it doesn't matter what the cost is. What is important is that I'm a person of integrity and that I step up and I do the right thing. And I just wanted to just bring a correction earlier. The defamation suit that we as Canadian frontline nurses have is against Together News Media and against the Canadian Nurses Association. It's not the college.
Okay.
I think you had said the college before, so I just wanted to correct that. Yeah, so it's Together News Media and Canadian Nurses Association that we have our defamation suit against. But thank you so very much for having me on this evening, and thank you for setting up that website. You are a fighter as well, and we so appreciate you. It's great to know all of these wonderful people such as yourselves that we've been able to link arms with, and I know that there's great things ahead. We just have to stick together and continue to fight and continue to stand strong for our God-given rights and freedoms. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kristal. Nothing feels better than a clean conscience. And with that, I thank you so much for your time. Right. And we will talk to you soon.